Yeah, Edwina, we're going to give, because of your parliamentary background, what I was hoping was that you could, because I think that kind of gives you an unfair advantage, because you're well used to having these debates.
Well, what you have to do if you're around the table is you listen, you wait until somebody says something really kind of dumb, and then you come back at them. I mean, one of the best riposts was to Lady Astor, who was the first woman member of Parliament to take her seat. And Winston Churchill was at her table and had been imbibing a little too well. I don't know whether it was Christmas or not. And she leaned across the table and she said to him, "Winston, you're drunk." And he said, "Well, yes, madam, I think I probably am. You are ugly. And tomorrow I shall be sober." I think that's one of the best put-downs ever.
That's great. You know what? I do that every year with my mum, and she loves it. She thinks it's hilarious. What about you, Neil? Do you have any heated debates in your past?
Well, in our household, because we don't have debates, I would never dare, because your husband's place is in the wrong, and Christine is always right, so I know my place.
That's it. So is that right, Christine? Do you think that Neil would be a good debater if he was allowed to speak?
Oh, do you know, the idea, seriously, the idea of, by the way, I can see my chinks are a little bit peak already, but Christmas cheers. The idea that anybody would talk politics around the Christmas table, I find extraordinary. I mean, we just wouldn't think of it. They've actually just arrived, so they're sorting themselves out. We've got 3 young children, 7, 5 and 2. Yeah. There just won't be any politics. And also, we're a divided family in terms of Brexit, so we don't mention the B word. We really don't, and we just don't talk politics, so nothing like that. We might argue over who has the last pig in a blanket and things like that, but certainly not over politics. Christmas is not the time for politics. It's not.
I know, but
there's
some people
families that are dysfunctional, like the royal family, that will have arguments of that kind.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know. Some people just can't help themselves, certainly about those issues that are slightly toxic that they obsess about. I mean, Edwina, do you have any tips?
Well, as I say, always be a little self-deprecating. I mean, for example, I might respond in a slightly demurring way, but say, no, I don't tell political jokes. I've had to work with far too many of them. And that usually kind of deflects whatever it is somebody's trying to have a go at me about one way or another. But, sometimes people can be too modest. You know, the one of Winston Churchill saying of Attlee, his deputy in the coalition, in the wartime coalition, that he was a modest man who had much to be modest about. And Attlee got back at him many, many years later by creating a little ditty, and I rather like this. And he said, "Few thought he was ever a starter. Many thought themselves smarter, but he ended PM. CH and OM, an Earl and a Knight of the Garter." And you feel that Attlee said, kind of so there after that. Sometimes just being a little self-deprecating will win the argument when everybody else is arguing. And they turn to you and say, "What do you think, Edwina?" And I say, "Oh, I think you're all so very, very clever."
That's the way I can do.
Josh,
yes.
What people have got silly hats on, and there's party poppers and confetti and bombs and goodness knows what all over the table, and it's looking like some sort of clown's tea party. The idea that anybody can say anything serious politically. And anyway, people are too keen to get the rest of the presents, any that they haven't opened before, whenever you have your meal.
So, Christine, no, I was just saying, if I've got this right, Christine, one second, is that your tip is to basically get everyone wasted and bribe them.
No, that's not at all what I said. And you completely twisted what I said. Don't get them wasted. Get them with a silly hat on. If they want to get wasted, that's fine. Well, I'm in control of the food. So if there's any political, controversy, I just say, right, no pudding. Yeah. No mince pies.
And I'm in charge of the drink. So I find just keeping the glasses topped up tends eventually to end the argument because everybody falls over.
You know that Neil beat me once on Weakest Link. Neil beat me by 1 point on Weakest Link. Do you remember, Neil? So I have the utmost regard for his intellect.
I see.
I'm
very kind.
I'm not sure that the weakest link has much to do with intellect.
No. But I find in life generally that if you just agree with people and then do the opposite afterwards, that's probably the best way to to get on in life.